Hey, this is Dr. Priyanka Venugopal, and you're listening to the Unstoppable Mom Brain Podcast, episode 43, My Clients Tell All. Friends, I am bringing you such a special episode this week. I've never done this before, so you're really in for a treat where I am getting to share with you a piece of one of my recent coaching calls with my real clients. On this recent coaching call, my clients were sharing and celebrating the wins and insights that they have been experiencing in our time together in the Unstoppable group. And most importantly, how they have been losing weight and feeling better and loving the process. My amazing clients gave me permission to share this piece of our coaching call with you, and it really does feel like such a gift. When my clients first come to work with me, they think that they have to do more or need more motivation to lose weight. They think they have to kick themselves into gear to actually see results. And sure, maybe it's true that we do want to clear out some old static energy in how we've been showing up towards our goals. But once you've cleared out that old static energy, what are you replacing it with? My clients share how Unstoppable has taught them a unique success formula that has changed their life, and they get to lose weight and feel better at the same time. Your dream ideal weight is available to you. Feeling better and living lighter at the same time is available to you. I show my clients how to bring no matter what energy into how they show up towards their goals in their life and on the scale, and we do it with short investments of time. My clients are high-achieving working moms in every industry, team leaders in business and in tech, researchers, professors, veterinarians, lawyers, and physicians. But they have one thread that ties them all together. They are high-achieving working moms, and I love that you get to hear from some of them on today's episode. They seriously light me up with what is possible, and I hope you feel lit up from hearing today's conversation too. You're going to be hearing a little bit about their experience and a process that I teach only my clients inside the group called the daily work. They share the deep impact that it has had and how they get to spend just a minimum amount of time to achieve their goals. Because you don't need more time to lose weight. You don't have to do more to reach your ideal weight. You simply have to change what you're thinking and acquire new skills that you haven't had before. It's joyful and it's work. It feels so much better than keeping the status quo, and at the same time, it will stretch you to grow. The Unstoppable group really is like rocket fuel to your goals, and I like to think about what this group really is and how it does this. We ask you questions that you haven't thought to ask yourself, and we challenge old paradigms that you haven't thought to challenge. As your coach, I guide you to your own inner true answers where you will start to feel liberated as my clients share in this clip. So settle in and grab coffee or tea and enjoy this conversation that my clients and I have around the wins that they have been creating in our time together. And my clients, if you're listening, you don't know it yet, but we are unlocking so much more. And just before we get into this, I want to make sure that you mark your calendar for the next group. We are starting our next Unstoppable group on April 16th, and enrollment for this April group is opening in February. Spots will be limited to maintain the intimate nature of what we are doing together, so make sure you go and get on the wait list right now. You can head on over to theunstoppablemombrain.com/group, where you can learn about the group and get yourself on the wait list. You'll get all of the details sent right to your email inbox. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to reach your ideal weight and create lightness for your body, you need to have simplicity, joy, and strategic decisions infused into your life. I'm a physician turned life and weight loss coach for ambitious working moms. I've lost over 60 pounds without counting points, calories, or crazy exercise plans. Most importantly, I feel calm and light on the scale and in my life. There's some delicious magic when you learn this work and the skills I'm going to be teaching you. Ready? Let's get to it. I just would like to take a minute to just recognize and celebrate how we showed up. I have this tendency of thinking that talking highly of myself is arrogant or maybe boastful or some flavor of it's showy offy or whatever that is, arrogant. Rather than, I think what I'm learning again and again and again in every layer is that there's nothing arrogant about recognizing how amazing we are. You just unmute and share your biggest wins, what you are just feeling so proud and grateful to yourself for. And like, then we talk about 2023.
I can go first. I'm really thrilled that I'm in this group. I feel like that's just complete revolution for me and the rest of my life. I already have picked up tons of great habits. And I'm definitely someone that likes to set New Year's resolutions. And I think the last 4 years I've had one about weight, and I didn't even do day one. Like I just didn't. It was just written down. And now I'm taking all this action and it's great.
That's so good.
So I think two things. I feel like one of the areas that has always been difficult for me previously is loving who I am as a mom and contrasting that to who my mom was to me. And I feel very solidly that I love who I am as a mom and the pride I have in that and my love for my kids. I feel such peace and pride in that. And I think I feel a lot of pride in my relationships that I have with my kids because I think that took work on myself to have that. And I'm super proud of that. And then I think the other really big thing that I'm proud of myself for is really connecting to the part that you highlight on weight loss in loving the process, because it's something that has never been a part of my efforts at losing weight before. And I think it's huge because it just shifts the way I think about it and the way I feel in it. And it does make it enjoyable. Even when things don't go the way that I want them to, it's just a really different way to do it, I think. So I feel really proud that I've been able to find that and work on it.
Yes. And Julie, and I think, Diana, you've also spoken to this before too, when we've talked, but it's like, when we think about all of the other ways that we've tried to lose weight and, we've had the great plans that sound really good on paper, or we've counted and measured, like whatever we've tried in the past, but we haven't loved that way of eating. We haven't loved that way of being, including imperfect moments, right? Like we haven't loved that way. Doesn't it make so much sense that we abandon it?
Yeah,
after some time?
It does.
Like it makes so much sense. And I want to just pause here to validate how normal that has been. Yeah. I think we spend, and you guys can tell me how long we spent kind of blaming ourselves or judging ourselves. Like, I can't believe I didn't stick with it. Or like, look at all those other people losing weight so much faster. Like we have a lot of thoughts like that. And it's like, wait a second, but I didn't love that way. Like, of course I didn't do it forever. Like I could kind of grind my way through, but like I didn't love it. Like I've worked too hard to not love like the way that I treat myself and my body and like the way that I eat.
Yeah. And I think the other piece that I've not really ever felt has been taught to me is the difference in using sort of motivation energy, which is, I think, what all of us are striving for and what the weight loss industry is striving for you to look for. Yeah. Versus commitment. And I'm in an accountability group from a previous group. Mm-hmm. And I see that being the thread of what everybody's looking for. Like, I just need to get back on it. And I just need to like kick myself into gear. And that's definitely like natural. And I go through that too. But I think just being aware of it and not really realizing that those are two different like fuel sources and they feel different.
They feel so different, right? And I think, again, what you're pointing at is like that I need to get back to it. Like, well, we all feel January 1st, right? Like all of you got this, a message from me on New Year's, like, okay, we're here to kind of refresh and reactivate and re-energize any old static parts of our plan or any old static parts of our way. Like we're here to re-energize that. And I think every Monday morning, every New Year's and every birthday is great for that. It's like, let's just re-energize. But also knowing and expecting that that burst of motivation isn't going to be sustained. Like, Julie, because you just said that it feels different, right? That fresh, like, I got to get to it versus what we're talking about, what we do in Unstoppable is like this grounded, like, commitment. I feel like this has been new for you, especially this round. Like, how do you think you've been doing that and creating that? And what do you think, how does it feel different for you?
It feels different because when I do like the daily work, I feel like that feeds the commitment piece of it, which I heard you talk about it before, but I didn't understand it. Like I didn't truly feel it, where now I think doing that daily work helps me feel that commitment and just like really focusing on liking how I feel when I eat a certain way. I've never done that before. It was more like I like feeling lighter, but not necessarily like I like this process of losing weight. And then the motivation piece of it, it's more of like an excitement energy. Yes. And like when the very first call that we ever do, like when we start the new group, I love that, but it's a different energy and it doesn't stick around forever. Like that day, even a few days after, it's like exciting, where the commitment's a different feeling.
Yeah.
It's like how you explain it with your kids. It's how I feel committed to my children.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave them and not pick them up. That's like that feeling is commitment.
That's right. And I also am wondering, and tell me if this feels true, because this has kind of been my own reflection also in 2022, but when we are able to really like live in that commitment, how do you feel it's been easier for you to handle imperfect moments? Like, those moments we've talked about, like we kind of go off the plan. Maybe we like don't lose weight that week, like something comes up, or like following through when you don't feel like it, picking yourself up at the bus stop, even if you don't feel like it. How has it been different for you?
I think the biggest thing has been that it's been a shorter lived period of time that I'm making decisions that don't necessarily feel good in my body. And it's so it's a shorter period of time and I'm less critical of myself. It's more like, I get that why I'm doing this and it doesn't really feel that great.
Yeah.
So I just, and it feels better to like feel committed to what I want for me.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah. It's almost like we get to be like, okay, that didn't feel so good.
Right.
Like, ooh. Yeah. Or I do, my, ooh, like my big one.
Yeah.
Ooh, it didn't feel so good. And okay, like, let's just get back to it. I love you so much. Like, let's just get back to it. Like we had this moment.
Instead of being like, oh my God, why am I doing this again? Like that is how it has previously felt.
Exactly.
And like shame almost.
Exactly. And you and I, we've talked about this before in a previous call. We were talking about how, like, why did I do this again? It's not actually a question. We're just making a statement about ourselves. We're like, why did I do this again? I can't believe myself. Why did I do this? We're not ever actually asking the question.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of what we do in this group, right? Like when you're like, oh, why did I do this again? I'm like, well, why did you do this again? Like, let's just, with the most love, like, but why did you then do this again? If it was so horrible, why did you? And that's where we then get to glean wisdom and like make such tangible progress every week, right?
Right.
It's so good. And Diana, you're saying, Dana just sharing in the chat, it's very liberating to not rely on Can you speak to that? Like, tell me, how has it been so liberating for you to not rely on fresh start motivation?
Well, just to answer what you were just asking, I think it falls into that for me. Since I'm not relying on motivation, which is like a very scarce resource, I feel like I have a lot more time to do the work. So if I need to like reset or go back, or if I messed up, it's fine because it's not like I just wasted a lot of motivation. I'm liking the plan. And so, so it's just much less of a big deal. It just frees me from having to just collect this resource and constantly get pumped up. I don't need to do that. I can just love this plan. So that's great. Like that's very liberating for me.
That's so good. And Dana, you said something and I had to share it here. And I wanted to get kind of your perspective on this because I think that everybody in this group could really benefit from this. We call the daily work, I almost hesitate to call it the daily work because it sounds like homework assignments and like who wants to do homework? Like nobody, not me. But somehow like, I don't know, this name started, it just stuck. But the daily work is really the 5 to 15 minutes that we're spending on our health and wellness in a way that deeply matters. It's not actually like homework. It's not work you quote unquote have to do, like something you have to check off your list. And I think that a lot of high achieving working moms, they're like, oh, I have to do this daily exercise every day. Like it's so annoying. But the way that you described it in our evaluation, in this last evaluation, you shared that it is one of your favorite things to do. You like light a candle and you sit by yourself. And I mean, I was just like, I'm going to do that.
I love my daily work.
Can you tell us about why you love the daily work and how it's not a homework assignment? I just think this is so valuable for all of us to take this through the filter? Because you've mentioned this a couple of times and I can see how it is. I mean, it's the results speak for themselves, right? So can you share that a little bit?
I don't know why magically it's worked for me so well, but
hold on. I'm going to pause you. It's not magic. You've done it.
It feels like magic because
you've come in. It feels like really magic, but
enjoy
you've done it. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to interrupt because it's not magic. You did it. Go ahead.
I read, what's that book? Some Habit book that everyone reads. What is it?
Oh, Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
Oh yeah. It's a favorite.
One of the things for a habit is you want to make it like really enjoyable. And so you want like a reward. So you have a positive association with it. And so I feel like my day is so crazy. So my kids go to sleep and that's when it's like my time for myself. So I light my candle, I sit down, and then I try not to spend 10 minutes. Like I just make it really fast. So it just does not feel like a chore. And then it feels like an investment into my hopes and dreams because I'm like reviewing my plan. So that's how I frame it. And it's been really working. I enjoy that time.
It's so
I think
good.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Isn't it
I'm
so good?
glad for that idea.
Like, are we all stealing the candle plan? Like,
yes.
Is this happening for all of us?
Can we make myself a tea? I make myself a tea.
Because I usually put the kids are asleep and my work is done and then I eat and drink. This is so much fun.
This is the whole thing, right? And Julie, we've talked about this, right? Like in the evening, especially for, again, working moms, it's like, oh, I deserve a break. I've been working so hard all day. Like, this is really what you've been craving. Yeah. You've been craving attention and recognition and your innermost desires being given a moment of candles. And like, we want to be wooing our desires, right? Like this kind of feels like that. Really what we have been creating in this group. I mean, to me, honestly, it just blows my mind every time I read some of the insights that you guys are having. And I think one of the things that's so valuable that we get to do on calls like this is kind of learn from each other. Like when Diana just shared about how she just loves doing this daily exercise for herself. It's like such a joy. Now we all get to kind of glean from that, right? And take from that, kind of make it our own. I also love, Diana, one thing that you said is you don't spend 10 minutes. If you don't want to spend the 10 minutes and it feels like work to spend 10 minutes, we spend 3 minutes or like 1 minute, right? Like something where you just give yourself that time.
One of my thought patterns has been like big change requires bigness. Mm-hmm. Or like to have different outcomes requires me to do big amounts of different things. And so like one of the things, Diana, you've been a model for me because, sometimes with the evaluation, whatever, I was making it this like 2-hour process that I would never.
I remember you shared that. And I was like, why are we doing a 2-hour?
I know. Well, because,
That's so good. They were very thorough.
It's the professor and researcher in me. So even when honestly, one of the things that I'm super proud about my hero story is that I wrote my hero story. Like,
you did.
I looked at it and I was like, okay, I have to go all the way back to like January 1st of 2022 and tell this whole chronological story about like everything I did and all. Right. And then I was like, wait. That's too much. You can't possibly want that. Like, what's the like quick and dirty, get it done in 5 minutes. So that's I guess that's my goal for 2023, which is like the minimum adequate unit. Like necessary to receive the value for it. So I'm applying that to yoga. I'm applying that to meditation and I'm applying that to the daily practice.
Oh my gosh, Jess, that is again, such a nugget. I think I definitely have a tendency of wanting it to like be a certain way. Like I want my counter to look a certain way. And then, me and my color coded nonsense. Like I have all of my things and it's like, because there's so much, it's a kind of like even the New Year's episode, which talked about like when you have this huge list, we overwhelm ourselves and we just don't do it. Mm-hmm. Rather than what you're talking about is like, what is the most minimum adequate unit? We're using that terminology forever. The minimum adequate unit as coined by Jess to create massive results, right? So what if we didn't have to do more or be more to like see results this year? What if we could just do the bare minimum, but do it consistently and committedly with love because our deepest desires deserve it, right?
I just want to add, so the daily work thing has been such a revelation for me, how successful it's been. And so as part of my 2020, I guess is that we're not supposed to talk about 2023, but
no, we can talk about, we can talk about what
I'm adding 2 new habits into my wonderful time.
Yeah.
And it's just what you talked about, Jess, which is like really minimal effort towards things that matter for me. So I pick, like, I want to be more connected with my friends. And so also as part of my daily work, I'll also spend a minute, like 2 minutes just checking if I've like made plans with people and that kind of stuff. Wow. So I've added into like this time that's already I consistently do in order to make progress in this other area. So it's really cool how that came out of your stuff, Priyanka, with the daily work, but I can now expand it to other things.
That's so good. And that's another one I'm going to borrow. Love it. I think that, again, we've talked about this before, but I think as humans, and I think especially when we're busy working moms, we don't get the connection that we are deeply desiring. When you really think about it, right? Like, what is it on that Friday night that we want to feel? Like when we ever go for the wine or the nachos or, the cheese and crackers or the Cool Ranch Doritos, like what is it that we actually want? We want to feel that like taken care of, satisfied, loved, connected feeling, ultimately, right? We've just used food. And Diane, I think what you're reflecting back is like, there's this other way. There are these other ways that we can actually create connection, right? And we can just play. We get to play and prioritize how we want to do that. Guys, this was so nice. I'm so glad we got to reflect, because I know that we all do this because I've coached all of you now and I've read evaluations. We are very quick to just want to move on to the fresh new week or the fresh new year. And we do it without really deeply looking at the past. And I think this is such a mistake. I have done this time and time again where we're like ready for the new year because of that excitement, Julie, right? Like we're excited to get started. We want to do it, but not before we first really take inventory of 2022. The same obstacles that we had in 2022, the same imperfect moments, the fumbles that we had in 22, they're going to happen again in 2023. And so we want to look at them with like that loving lens. Okay. Like what were my hard moments? Like, did the weight loss not go fast enough? Did it slow down? Did I plateau? Were there moments in my life or relationships that I wanted to work on that I didn't? Why? If that was an obstacle again in 2023, well, how do you want to solve it? What is going to be your action plan to solve it? And what are you going to think and feel to drive that action plan? I think it's so important because then we get to go into 2023 with that fresh gusto, with actual, like we're coming in with wisdom. We're not going to like just throw spaghetti at the wall and hope something sticks. We're coming in with learned and lived experience to kind of help inform how we create 2023 goals. If you didn't create the results you wanted in 2022, the kindest, most fiercely loving thing that you can do for yourself is to ask yourself how you created that. And we're not doing it from a lens of blame and judgment, right? That's the difference. Before, it's like, I can't believe it. Like all of the stuff that we've been coaching on. Listen, it's uncomfortable to take responsibility over a result we don't love. Our agreement has to be, you will always have your back. And so as your coach, I love you too much to ever let you let it go. And I only say that because I know that everybody in this room is completely capable of hitting their goal weight, of living lighter, feeling better. I know it's 100% possible for anybody that's in this group. I really hope that you enjoyed that clip from this Unstoppable coaching call where I really can feel the energy of my clients shifting and changing their life. I think that sometimes, and I know that I'm historically totally guilty of this, we think that we have to make some massively big changes to create massively big results. And I think that that can be extremely overwhelming, particularly for high achievers who are already doing so much. I want you to know that what we are doing together and what you heard on this call is happening in little moments. I show my clients that little small moments, when compounded over time, will create massive results, not just in your life, but on the scale in the most permanent way. And everybody in this room, anyone that labels themselves as a high achieving working mom, is completely capable of doing this. High achievers are notoriously hardworking, but when it comes to living lighter and losing weight, I want to make sure that your hard work is going towards the right things and the best strategy. Having the right strategy, a proven formula, and a clear and repeatable process is essential to reaching your ideal weight. Or you're going to be clocking a lot of hours and just left feeling frustrated. On Friday, February 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, I am hosting my next webinar. Quit the strict meal planning and do this webinar instead. I know it's a little bit of a cheeky title, but I want to just tell you that I see time and time again how much emphasis high achievers put on making perfect plans. And yes, it's important, but it is not as important as knowing how to masterfully implement the plan and create high quality results. I'm going to be teaching you my 3 simple frameworks that really guarantee success in reaching your ideal weight. So I highly recommend blocking this time out on Friday, February 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern and coming live. You can grab your seat and register for the webinar over at theunstoppablemombrain.com/webinar. I highly recommend coming live because when you engage actively with the material, you are leaned into learning the concepts and you get to ask questions in real time, you will feel a shift during the webinar. But don't worry if you cannot make it live. If you are registered for the webinar, I will be sending you a replay that will be live for a short while. And after the webinar, enrollment for the Unstoppable group will be opening, which is my 6-month signature coaching experience to help you skyrocket your results. So go now, don't wait, and grab your seat at theunstoppablemombrain.com/webinar. I'll see you then. Thanks for listening to the Unstoppable Mom Brain podcast. It's been an honor spending this time with you and your brilliant brain. If you want more resources or information from the show, head on over to theunstoppablemombrain.com.